Hello everyone, we are starting our series on urogynecology with this first video, and that is uroflowmetry. What is uroflowmetry? It is the simplest and most useful investigation for assessment of voiding dysfunction. So what we are going to diagnose here is voiding dysfunction. So it's a non-invasive method. It acts as a screening investigation for voiding dysfunction. So, first of all, to know voiding dysfunction, we should know what is normal voiding function. So, how a normal voiding happens, how to measure the normal voiding pattern. This should be done with this particular investigation, and any abnormality, any displacement from this normal can be diagnosed as a abnormal voiding dysfunction. So there are various reasons for voiding dysfunction, but this particular investigation does not distinguish the various causes of voiding dysfunction. We will see further in this video. This is a screening and very useful. This should be done before and after of any corrective surgery. What we are measuring here, we are measuring the urine flow rate, that is in milliliter per second against time. Okay, what we are measuring here, urine flow rate against time. And when we do a charting or graphing, the graph looks like this. Okay, and how we do, what is the method? There are various methods. It is available in electrometry now, and it's various technical methods are available nowadays. But to understand the basic method I am trying to make here is a gravitary method. That is, the person sits in this chair and voids. Okay, the voided urine goes into this jug. This jug is above the weighing machine here. So as the urine come in the jug, there is an increase in the weight of the jug, and that's how we measure the urine flow. Okay, this is a method how we measure the urine flow. There are various other methods also available nowadays, infrared even, but still this is a basic model. Now this is how a normal graph looks like. See here, it is time to start. The urine coming out in the jug, and the flow rate increases suddenly. See here, and goes here is a maximum flow rate, that is also called peak flow rate, that we consider as a 15 ml per second. Then it comes down gradually with the time. So this all time is a flow time, and this is time to maximum, and this is again another time. So, okay, so this is how we measure graph. Now when we see a urine flow, peak urine flow actually depends on what factors? Peak urine flow dependent on detrusor muscle contractility, obviously, relaxation of bladder triangle, obstruction in outflow, distension of the bladder, that is distension with urine. So now the two important thing we can identify from the graph is maximum flow rate, first of all. Second is total voided urine, and the third one is the pattern of how the urine flow increases and decreases. Now the peak flow rate is dependent on total voided urine. Why? Because more volume of urine is in bladder is there, then there is a more stretchability of the detrusor muscle. The detrusor muscle will be more stretched. That's why there is an increase in contractility of the detrusor muscle. So this is just some muscle contraction laws that we have learned in our first year. So if we increases the stretch, the contractility will be increases. So this will increase the peak flow rate. So now you can understand, you need certain amount of urine to void to get the peak blood flow, and that is considered as a 150 ml. So if the patient does not void or cannot void more than 150 ml, then we cannot successfully accurately measure the peak flow rate. So this is how you understand the thing. So The patient or the person must avoid more than 150 ml of urine. Now, peak flow rate is more in women than in men because of the urethral anatomy difference. Okay, age and parity does not change the peak flow rate. Progressive decline in the flow rate is seen in increasing grade of pelvic floor prolapse, uterine prolapse, cystourethrosil. Now we have showed the normal graph. This is normal graph. Now what can change the graph? How the abnormal urimetry flow can be there? It's maybe because of abnormal detrusor activity. Detrusor activity may be overactivity or less activity. So this can also change the graph. It also changes with the urethral anomaly. If the urethral anomaly is obstructing the urine, then the flow cannot be achieved or the pattern is changed. And in neurological abnormal coordination, because micturition is all about neurological coordination. If this does not happen as it should happen, then also it will change the graph. So this is how we know. See here, with this investigation, what we are knowing here, we are just knowing a difference between normal and abnormal. We cannot find out the reason of abnormality. For example, if urine flow is decreased, let's say the graph here is like this. So we cannot identify which is a factor responsible for this particular abnormality. Only we can identify is whether it is normal or abnormal, and that's why it acts as a screening test. It is non-invasive, because to know this thing, what is the cause of this abnormal blood flow, we need more further sophisticated investigations, and that may be invasive too. So this is acts as a screening whether to identify normal and abnormal. Thank you, friends.